Hello everyone, and welcome to Mishnah Minutes, where we learn a Mishnah in a few short minutes, and we earn the schar of Limud Torah that lasts for all of eternity. We are learning the very first Mishnah in Shisha Sidrei Mishnah, Masechtas Berachos, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. The schus of the Limud Torah generated by this video should stand as a merit for Miriam Liba Bas Davara, that she should have a refuah shalema b'mehera. The Torah Kedoshah in Parshas V'eschanan tells us, "V'dibarta bam b'shiftecha b'veisecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shachbecha u'v'kumecha." A pasuk we're all very familiar with, a pasuk from Kriya Shema. The pasuk is telling us that we have a mitzvah say daraisa to say Kriya Shema twice a day. V'dibarta bam, you should speak the words of Kriya Shema when b'shachbecha, at night when you lay down, u'v'kumecha, and in the morning when you get up. Now this Mishnah, the very first Mishnah of Shisha Sidrei Mishnah, discusses when exactly are you supposed to say the Kriya Shema Shel Arvis, the Kriya Shema of the night. And the Mishnah begins, Me'ei Masai Kairin es Shema Ba'arvis. From when can we begin to say the Kriya Shema of Arvis, the Kriya Shema of the night? And we're going to see that the Mishnah is going to discuss not only from when can we begin to say Kriya Shema, but how long do we have to say Kriya Shema? How late in the night can we say Kriya Shema and be yotze the mitzvah say of saying Kriya Shema? So Me'emasai Karin Shema Ba'arvis, from when can we begin to say the Kriya Shema of Arvis of the night? Misha she'kayhanim nichnasim le'echal b'trumasan, from the time that the kayhanim come in to eat their truma. Now what time is that? What does this mean from the time the kayhanim come in to eat truma? We know that a kayin who becomes tamei is not allowed to eat truma. What does he have to do before he can once again eat truma? He has to be tovel in a mikveh, but that's not enough. He has to then wait for what's called Herev Shemesh. He has to wait for nightfall after going to the mikveh. What time is nightfall? Tseis HaKaychavim. He has to wait for the time when it's dark enough so that we could look up to the sky and see 3 stars. Tseis HaKaychavim. The Mishnah is telling me here, you know when you could start saying Kriya Shema Shel Arvis? At Tseis HaKaychavim. The time that a kayin who was tamei, he has gone to the mikveh, now it's nightfall and he could once again eat truma, that's the time that you could start saying Kriya Shema Shel Arvis. Why? Because that is the beginning of the time of b'shachbecha. That's when it's night and most people start to go lay down to go to sleep. Now, we've established what time you could start saying Kriya Shema, but how long do you have to say Kriya Shema? How far into the night can you say Kriya Shema and be yotze the mitzvah? On this, the Mishnah is going to give us 3 opinions. Now, we have to understand there's 2 very different ways you could understand the word ubeshachbecha. Ubeshachbecha means when you lay down. Well, either you could say that means when do people go to lay down to go to sleep? That's the beginning of the night. At the beginning of the night, that's when people first go to lay down. So if we understand b'shachbecha that way, that would mean that in order to be yotze the mitzvah, you have to say Kriya Shema Shel Arvis in the beginning of the night. Then we have to define what does the beginning of the night mean. How long do you have? What's the time that people generally go to lay down? That's one way to understand b'shachbecha. But you could also understand b'shachbecha to mean as long as people are laying down. Then it would mean that you can start saying Kriya Shema when people start to lay down, but you could say Kriya Shema for the whole night, because people are laying down the whole night, they're sleeping the whole night. So if that's what a b'shachbecha means, you would have the whole night to say Kriya Shema. So now let's see the 3 opinions that the Mishnah gives us. First, the Mishnah says, you want to know how long you have to say Kriya Shema? Ad Saif ha'ashmura harishayna, until the end of the first watch of the night. What does that mean? What's the first watch of the night? Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. This is the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. What does it mean, the first watch of the night? So the Gemara in Berachos tells us that the night is divided into 3 different parts. And during each one of those parts of the night, different malachim, different angels, sing shira, sing praises to the Rabbeinu Shalom. So Atzaifa Ashmura Harishayna would mean until the end of the first third of the night. Rabbi Eliezer clearly holds that ubeshachbecha means when people are laying down. And he defines the amount of time that people are laying down by the first third of the night. By the end of the first third of the night, most people have already gone to lay down to go to sleep. That's the time that you have to say Kriya Shema. The Chachamim say ad chatzos. you have until half the night to say Kriya Shema. You can say Kriya Shema up until midnight. Now, we're going to wait to explain exactly what the basis for the Chachamim's opinion is. First, we're going to see the third opinion. Rabbi Gamliel says, Ad sheyale amud hashachar. You could say Kriya Shema for the entire night. You could say Kriya Shema up until dawn of the next morning. Now, clearly, Rabbi Gamliel holds that Ubeshach B'cha means not when people are going to lay down, but he understands Beshach B'cha to mean as long as people are laying down. And like we said, people are laying down for the entire night. So he says you could say Kriya Shema all the way up until dawn of the next morning. Question we have is, what do the Chachamim hold? The Chachamim said we could say Kriya Shema up until Chatzos. Now, it could be that the Chachamim hold like Rebbe Eliezer, that a B'shach B'cha means you have to say Kriya Shema during the beginning of the night when people are laying down, and just the Chachamim hold that people are laying down until Chatzos. If that's true, then according to the Chachamim, the Chiyuv of Kriya Shema Shel Arvis ends at midnight. You only have up until midnight. If you missed midnight, there is no longer a chiyuv to say Kriya Shema of the night. You already passed Uveshach B'cha. You passed the time that you could say Kriya Shema. You missed it, you weren't Mekayim the mitzvah, and that's it. There's nothing that you can do. Or we're going to see, it could be that really the Chachamim hold that Uveshach B'cha means the whole night, like Rabbi Gamliel. So then why did they say that you could only say Kriya Shema up until Chatzos? So now let's see what the Mishnah says. The Mishnah is going to bring a story, and through this story, we're going to explore the basis of the sheet of the Chachamim. So the Mishnah says, Maisa shaba'u banav mi beis HaMishnah. There was a story where the sons of Rabbi Gamliel came home late from a chasana. Amru Loi, they said to Rabbi Gamliel, Loi karinu eshema. We have not yet said Kriya Shema Shel Arvis, and it was already after Chatzos. Now, the Rishonim explain that what the children of Rabbi Gamliel were asking Rabbi Gamliel was, they wanted to understand what is the shita of the Chachamim. We know that whenever there's a machlokes, a yachid and a rabbim, whenever there's machlokes between a single person who has one opinion and a rabbim and many people who have a different opinion, the halacha follows the rabbim. So in any machlokes between Rebbe Eliezer and the Chachamim, or Rabbi Gamliel and the Chachamim, we're going to paskin like the Chachamim, because the Chachamim are the Rabbim. But the children of Rabbi Gamliel wanted to know what exactly is the shita of the Chachamim. Do the Chachamim hold like Rebbe Eliezer? They hold that we have to say Kriya Shema in the beginning of the night when people are going to lay down. Just they say that that time ends at Chatzos. If that's the sheet of the Chachamim and we paskin like the Chachamim, then there's nothing we could do. It's after Chatzos. We didn't say Kriya Shema. We no longer have a chiyuv. Unfortunately, we missed it, and now we can't say Kriya Shema. Or do the Chachamim hold like you, like Rabbi Gamliel? Do the Chachamim hold that really Ubeshach B'cha means that the chiyuv to say Kriya Shema runs the whole night? And just they say that you have to say it by Chatzos because they made a takana. They said, even though you really are allowed to say Kriya Shema and you have a chiyuv, an obligation to say Kriya Shema for the whole night, we want to make sure that you're not going to miss it. So we say, you know what? Say Kriya Shema by Chatzos. That way you'll make sure that you'll be Mekayim the mitzvah. So the children wanted to know what exactly is the shita of the Chachamim and what is the halacha. Rabbi Gamliel answered his children, Amar lahem, he said to them, Im loy ala amod hashachar, if it is not yet dawn of the next day, chayavin atem likrois, you are still obligated to say Kriya Shema, because the Chachamim really hold that the mitzvah say midaraisa of Ubeshach B'cha runs the entire night, and your obligation runs the entire night. V'loy zu belvad, and not only over here by Kriya Shema is it that the Chachamim say that a mitzvah that really runs the whole night, you have to be mekayim that mitzvah by midnight, but really you have the whole night. In many places where the Chachamim said that there's a mitzvah that you must fulfill by Chatzos, really the obligation and the mitzvah runs the entire night until dawn. And Rabbi Gamliel gives a few examples of this. Hekter chalavim ve'evarim, the burning of the chalev, the fats, and the evarim, the limbs and the other parts of a carbon that must be burnt on the mizbeach, mitzvasan ad sheyale amud hashachar. the mitzvah to burn those parts of the karbanos that must be burnt on the Mizbeach, that mitzvah runs the entire night. You have the entire night to get those parts up onto the Mizbeach and burn them on the Mizbeach. They don't become pasul belina, they don't become pasul, for being on the Mizbeach too long until the next dawn. And all of the karbanos, where there's a mitzvah to eat the parts of the carbon that are eaten by the owners or by the kahanim, all of those karbanos, for instance, a carbon taida or a carbon chatas or a carbon asham, where there are parts of the carbon that must be eaten, the mitzvah to eat those parts of the karbanos, that mitzvah runs the entire night. Now, there are certain karbanos, different karbanos have a different amount of time that you're allowed to eat them. A carbon is brought on one day. There are certain karbanos, like we said, the taida, the chatas, the asham. Those karbanos, you have the day that you brought the carbon to eat it, and you also have the following night. Over here, such karbanos that are eaten for one day, the day that the carbon is brought and the following night, mitzvah sanat sheyala amud hashachar. The mitzvah to eat those parts of the karbanos, that mitzvah runs for the entire night. Then it's going to become nicer. Once dawn of the next day comes, it's going to become nicer, and you're no longer allowed to eat it. If you eat it, you're chayav kares. Instead, it has to be burned. Im kein lama amru chachamim ad chatzos. So why then did the chachamim say that you have to eat that basar, you have to eat that part of the karbanos by chatzos? If the obligation, if you're allowed, if the mitzvah to eat it runs the whole night, why did they say that you have to eat it by chatzos? Kedei laharchik es ha'adam min ha'avera. Because the intent of the chachama was to distance you from chas v'shalom being over an avera. What the chachamim said was simple. They said if you have parts of a carbon that you have to eat, and the mitzvah runs the whole night, you're going to push it off, you're going to eat some, and then you're going to go take a nap, and then you're going to wake up, and you're going to eat a little bit more, and you might push and push and push until you come up to dawn. Now you're going to look at your watch and you say, "Hi, it's almost dawn, and I have some left, and I'm not supposed to allow this meat to become nicer. We don't want basar kachim to be burned. We want to eat it." So you're going to go and you're going to grab a plate, and I need a fork, and I need a knife, and you're going to go and you're going to start eating. And now you might come to eat chas v'shalom, you might come to eat nicer. You might eat some a little bit after dawn. And if you eat it after dawn, you're over an avera, and there's a chiv krisus on that avera. So in order to distance you from chas v'shalom being over an avera, especially an avera chamura, the chachamim said you must eat the meat by chatzos. Don't try to push it past chatzos. Same thing by Kriya Shema. The Chacham said you have a mitzvah say daraisa of Kriya Shema shal arvis to say Kriya Shema of the night. Yes, it's true. You have the whole night. You have until dawn of the next day because of ubeshachbacha. But don't push it the whole night. If you push it the whole night, you might get busy. You're going to push it off. Oh, I didn't have marv. I didn't say Kriya Shema. I'll push it off a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Before you know it, suddenly it's dawn of the next day. And guess what? You missed the mitzvah. You will mavatal mitzvah say midaraisa of saying Kriya Shema. So to recap, the Mishnah asked the question, what is the proper time to say the Kriya Shema shal arvis? The Mishnah said we could begin to say Kriya Shema shal arvis at Seisa Kechavim. That's when the time of Ubeshachbacha begins. That's when people start to lay down for the night. The Mishnah gave us three opinions as to how long you have to say Kriya Shema. There's the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer that you have up until Atzaif Hashmur Rishayna, up until the end of the first third of the night. That's what's called Ubeshachbacha. We have the opinion of Rabbi Gamliel, who holds that Ubeshachbacha means the entire night. You have until dawn to say Kriya Shema. Then we have the halacha of the Chachamim, who say that even though really the mitzvah say runs the entire night, because Ubeshachbacha means as long as people are laying down, still the Chacham made a takana, and they said, say Kriya Shema by Chatzos, kedei laharchik es ha'adam min ha'avera. Thank you so much for joining us and learning this Mishnah, and we hope that you will join us for many, many more Mishnahs to come. Be well.